He arrived at that stage with nothing but belief, a Mississippi soul raised on church pews, warm Sunday mornings, and a voice heaven itself seemed to sharpen. Jamal Roberts didn't walk into fame. He walked into purpose. 6 months ago, the world watched him rise from quiet classrooms in Meridian to the brightest spotlight on American television, capturing the crown on American Idol Season 23. And now, in a moment so surreal it feels whispered by destiny, he stands as an official Grammy nominee. It isn't just a nomination, it is confirmation. A reminder that faith is not a feeling but a force. And when destiny has your name on it, doors don't just open, they surrender. Rewind to before the sold-out stages. Before the cameras, before millions voted his voice into history. Jamal was a teacher, a humble young man shaping young minds while quietly nurturing a gift that could move nations. In the back of his mind and deep in his spirit, he knew there was more. Every gospel note he sang wasn't entertainment, it was testimony. Every melody was prayer wrapped in tone. People could feel it before they understood it, hear it before they saw it. When he opened his mouth, you didn't just hear a singer. You heard a calling. And so, when he stepped onto the Idol stage for the first time, it wasn't nervousness filling the room. It was prophecy. The judges felt it immediately. The audience felt it as if someone pressed pause on breathing. Because certain voices are not discovered. They are revealed. And with each round, each performance, each moment of vulnerability, Jamal gave the world something it didn't realize it was missing. Sincerity in an era of spectacle, faith in a world of noise, authenticity in a culture addicted to flashover foundation. There was power in how he stood, quiet but unshakable. There was richness in every note, grounded in gospel, elevated by emotion, sharpened by life. It was impossible to ignore. America didn't just vote for a voice, they voted for meaning. Over 26 million votes carried him to the Idol throne, reclaiming a path few black male artists had been allowed to walk on that stage. His win broke patterns, lifted hearts, and rewrote a chapter in Idol history that had been waiting 2 decades to turn. But it was never about breaking records. It was about honoring God, honoring Mississippi, honoring every dreamer who had been told to be realistic. Because Jamal wasn't supposed to be the star, not by earthly standards. In a world obsessed with followers and fame metrics, he didn't enter with viral numbers or flashy hype. He entered with truth. And truth has a power algorithms cannot cage. So when the season finale arrived and his name echoed across America, it wasn't just applause. It was revival. It was proof that destiny listens to obedience. As confetti rained and tears streamed, he didn't boast. He worshipped. He didn't celebrate alone. He honored his mother, his family, his church, and the city that shaped him. Meridian wasn't just proud. Meridian was seen. Mississippi wasn't just represented. Mississippi was elevated. And a teacher who once stood in front of students inspiring belief suddenly inspired millions. Fast forward to today, and the journey has only grown higher, broader, divine in clarity. Now the world speaks his name in the same sentence as the word Grammy, Best Gospel Performance Song, still live, alongside Jonathan McReynolds. 2 voices, 1 spirit, 1 testimony set to melody, rewarded not for popularity but purity. A nomination earned not in the noise of hype, but the quiet dedication of faith in motion. Because his story is not just about talent. It is about timing. It is about obedience over opportunity. It's about understanding that when God elevates, no industry door can remain closed. When grace grips a life, accolades chase you. You don't chase them. People see the spotlight now, the red carpets, the studio sessions, the interviews, the gold-toned lighting shining across his face as the entertainment world takes notice. But very few saw the early mornings rehearsing before work. Very few heard the private prayers spoken when nobody was listening. Very few witnessed the quiet sacrifices, turning down comfort to chase calling, trading certainty for destiny. He didn't ask to be famous. He asked to be faithful, and in return, God made him seen. This moment, this nomination, is not the peak. It is the beginning. Because greatness doesn't arrive fully formed. It unfolds like scripture, verse by verse, season by season. From a classroom in Meridian to a stage that reaches the world, Jamal carries something deeper than talent. He carries assignment. His voice doesn't entertain. It heals. It awakens. It reminds a generation drowning in noise that real elevation still comes from humility, not performance. Now the cameras follow him, yet his foundation remains anchored in the same humble soil where he learned to dream. Fans stop him on sidewalks. Families tune in across living rooms. Churches erupt in pride. Young people whisper, "If he did it, maybe I can too." Because representation is not about appearances, it is about permission. And Jamal's rise didn't just crown him, it freed others to believe. Some artists chase fame, some chase legacy. Jamal chases purpose. And purpose has placed him in rooms he once only prayed to reach. Industry executives watch closely. Gospel legends salute his authenticity. Music lovers across generations, from church mothers to young creatives searching for light, find a bridge in his voice. Because he carries culture, but he also carries kingdom. Every performance isn't performance, it's ministry disguised as music. Every lyric isn't lyric, it's testimony wrapped in tone. His life is not evidence of talent, it is evidence of grace. And this Grammy moment isn't luck, it's alignment. Destiny doesn't rush, it prepares. And now the world watches as the boy from Meridian who once taught in simple classrooms stands on a global stage, not as a contestant, but as a contender. Not as someone hoping to be noticed, but as someone chosen. His journey is proof. When you sing from your soul, the world has no choice but to listen, and this is only the first chapter of his rise. The applause may have faded after the finale, but Jamal never chased applause. He chased assignment. And so even as the world celebrated his idol victory, he returned to the quiet, returned to the foundation, returned to the sound that shaped him. Gospel chords, hands lifted, hearts softened by worship. Fame did not shift his identity. Calling did. Because when God elevates you publicly, he first roots you privately. And while cameras saw a star, heaven always saw a servant. His days transformed. Recording studios replaced school hallways, lights replaced chalk dust, but purpose stayed constant. Interviews poured in. Talk shows wanted his presence. Magazines wanted his story. Fans wanted his voice. And Jamal handled it all with the grace of someone who remembers who carried him to the stage. Never rushing, never pretending, never trading humility for hype. If anything, the more the world praised him, the more he bowed his head in gratitude. He traveled from Mississippi to Los Angeles, Nashville, New York. Rooms he once could only dream of became hallways he walked with confidence and humility. Industry doors opened not because he forced them, but because his gift knocked for him. Managers called. Producers pitched. Pastors prayed. But Jamal kept one guiding truth at the center of every decision. The gift is nothing without God's guidance. Somewhere between rehearsal rooms and flights, he discovered something unexpected. His story wasn't just inspiring gospel listeners. It was crossing genres, crossing borders, crossing backgrounds. Young people who never stepped foot in a church commented on his videos saying they felt something when he sang, something bigger than music. Older gospel legends whispered prayers of blessing over him, recognizing the sacred weight he carried. Soul fans, R&B lovers, even mainstream pop audiences began to follow, drawn not just to the sound, but the sincerity. Because in an industry where many are polished but few are pure, authenticity shines like a lighthouse. Offers came, partnerships, appearances, features. Yet he chose intentionally, carefully. He didn't want his name everywhere. He wanted it where it mattered. He wasn't chasing a moment, he was building a lifetime. And so instead of rushing out albums just to feed momentum, he sat quietly in writing rooms, praying over lyrics, shaping music that would outlast charts. Some nights, when the world expected him to bask in fame, he sat alone with his guitar or in dim-lit studios, whispering melodies like prayers in the dark. Then came the collaboration that would shift everything again. A moment that felt less like career strategy and more like divine collision. Jonathan McReynolds, a name synonymous with modern gospel excellence, extended a hand not just to feature Jamal, but to walk beside him musically. Veterans don't align casually, they align with calling. And when they sang Still Live Together, something greater than performance took place. It felt like testimony harmonizing with testimony, faith harmonizing with fire. And when the Recording Academy heard it, they didn't hear a former teacher or an idol winner or a new voice. They heard impact. They heard a sound ancient in spirit yet new in expression. They heard a reminder that gospel is not genre, it's oxygen for the soul. And so the nomination arrived, quietly, elegantly, as if heaven simply whispered into the earth's ear, "Pay attention." The assignment continues. When Jamal received that message, that he, a boy from Meridian, a teacher who once broke down history lessons while dreaming of stages, was now a Grammy nominee, he didn't shout first. He didn't run first. He bowed his head. Tears didn't fall because he wanted fame. They fell because purpose confirmed itself. His mother's voice echoed in his mind. His church family's prayers pressed against his chest. His students, the children who once looked up at him, now looked to him. Not because he sang, but because he believed. News stations called again. Mississippians celebrated harder than they had since the Idol win. Gospel communities erupted like revival fire. Even mainstream outlets who barely understood gospel felt compelled to spread the headline. Because Jamal's story transcends genre, it reminds the world that humility and God's timing still produce miracles. Yet even with cameras returning and microphones pointed his way, he stayed grounded. He still visits his old school. He still hugs fans like family. He still speaks softly when attention gets loud. In an era where fame often breeds ego, Jamal uses his spotlight to reflect light, not absorb it. Every stage he steps onto, he carries his roots, church harmonies, Mississippi soul, black excellence rooted in faith, and a community whose pride runs deeper than applause. And while success climbs around him, he never stops working. Studio sessions stretch into late nights. Vocal training sharpens what God gave. Songwriting becomes therapy. Every note he records is layered with intention. Because he is not building a season, he is building a legacy. There's a calmness in how he carries this moment, yet a quiet fire beneath it. A hunger not for fame, but for impact. He wants to uplift, to inspire, to remind young, gifted black artists in small towns across America that they do not need to fit industry molds to shape culture. You can be grounded in God and still reach global heights. You can sing truth and still trend. You can be gentle and still powerful. And in private moments, when the lights dim and pressure tries to whisper doubt, he returns to prayer. Success didn't erase his humility, it deepened it. Because when destiny is this clear, humility is the only reasonable response. The Grammys are coming, and the world wonders if he will take home the trophy. But Jamal knows something deeper. He already won when his gift aligned with God's purpose. He already succeeded when one child watched his journey and dared to dream higher. Awards are honor, but purpose is victory. This is not hype or Hollywood fantasy. It is the story of a young man who didn't ask the world to see him. He asked God to use him. And now the world has no choice but to watch. And now, with a Grammy nomination etched into history, the world waits to see what happens next. But Jamal isn't waiting, he is working. Not rushing toward the future, but walking with the same measured grace that brought him here. Because genuine greatness doesn't explode. It expands, slowly, intentionally, reverently. There are nights when he's alone in a hotel room far from Mississippi, standing in front of a window overlooking glittering city lights. Somewhere below, life buzzes, traffic hums, neon reflections paint concrete gold. But instead of craving the noise, he whispers gratitude into the stillness. Fame may fill arenas, but peace lives in quiet rooms. He holds his Bible, he jots lyric ideas in the Notes app on his phone. Small habits holding up a monumental journey. People imagine celebrity life as constant glamour, private jets and velvet ropes, and Jamal does see a taste of that. Invitations to elite events. Red carpets, stylists offering suits tailored like armor. The soft hum of television cameras as interview chairs glide closer. Yet the glamour never becomes the foundation, because glitter cannot carry calling. The world may see luxury, but Jamal sees stewardship. Platforms are not pedestals. They are responsibility, and responsibility is a weight he carries joyfully. He remembers the nights in Meridian when he would rehearse alone, only the hum of a ceiling fan and the soft squeak of floorboards beneath him. He remembers church mothers shaking tambourines, his pastor laying hands, youth choirs harmonizing like angels in training. Those aren't memories, they are anchors. Fame tries to float people, to disconnect them from soil. But Jamal refuses to leave his roots, because he knows the only reason he can reach sky is because he grew from earth. The industry will test that. It always does. Contracts come wrapped in compliments. Handshakes hide agendas. Spotlight seeks to shape as much as shine. But Jamal has a discernment sharpened by spirit. You can't tempt someone who already knows where their treasure lies. He isn't confused about who made the way. It wasn't algorithms, media networks, or chance. It was God. So while others might trade authenticity for opportunity, Jamal protects his assignment like a crown meant to be worn with reverence, not display. Already, there are early whispers, collaborations in the works, songwriters eager to sit in circles with him, producers predicting a crossover moment, labels discussing strategy behind closed doors. But Jamal plays by heaven's timeline. He knows one undeniable truth. The world will always be ready before God says move. And Jamal moves when God moves, not a step sooner. Meanwhile, the fans follow him like family. They don't just watch, they witness. On social media, comments read like testimonies. You made me believe again. Your voice healed me. Your kindness gave me hope I didn't know I needed. Your story lit something. In my son, he believes he can dream bigger now. These aren't just supporters. They are lives impacted, souls touched. And Jamal carries every message with the same reverence he carries every note. Because music may be his gift, but people are his purpose. And back home, Mississippi watches like a proud parent. Churches play his performances with tears streaming down faces. City leaders speak his name with honor. Young singers practice runs in the mirror, imagining their moment on a national stage. And his former students, the kids who once handed him homework and prayers, see representation standing tall under bright lights. Proving greatness grows in unexpected places. He visits when he can, returning to the very same classrooms where he once taught multiplication and motivation. Now reminding those same students that dreams aren't reserved for other people. When he walks down those hallways, it's not fame that echoes. It's legacy beginning to bloom. There are moments the pressure could overwhelm anyone. Expectations rising, headlines multiplying, the Grammy stage approaching like a horizon built of gold. But where others would tighten, Jamal breathes. Faith is not tested by quiet seasons. It is tested when the world is loud. And Jamal's peace is louder than fame ever could be. If he wins the Grammy, he will lift the trophy not as a symbol of his voice, but of God's promise. If he doesn't, he will clap louder than anyone else in the room, because blessings aren't measured in awards, and calling doesn't need validation to stand. Whether holding gold or holding gratitude alone, he remains victorious. Because victory isn't the moment you're recognized. It's the moment you refuse to compromise who you are on the way there. And so his story doesn't end here. It transitions. A new chapter begins. One written with patience, with prayer, with precision. Record labels will negotiate, concerts will fill, young artists will study his path, and fans will wait for the first major album. Not with demand, but with respect. Because the world can sense it. Jamal Roberts is not here just to sing, not here just to win awards, not here just to ride a moment. He is here to build something eternal. There will be world tours. There will be chart entries. There will be stages across oceans where he closes his eyes and hears thousands of voices lifting praise back at him like waves returning to the shore. But there will also be quiet nights in Mississippi where he sits under a familiar sky, breathing in home and whispering thanks to the God who never left him in the waiting season. And one day, whether at the Grammys, at church, or standing on a small community stage, he will look back and realize he never made it. He walked into what God already wrote. This journey was never about arrival. It was about obedience. From a classroom in Meridian to the American Idol crown to a Grammy nomination in less than a year, Jamal is living proof that when God says now, no force on earth can say not yet. He isn't chasing the world. The world is catching up to what heaven already knew, and somewhere tonight, another dreamer whispers a prayer under dim light, unsure if their voice matters. And because Jamal answered his calling, they now believe they might too. This isn't the climax. This isn't even the breakthrough. This is the beginning of a kingdom rise disguised as a music career. Faith brought him here. Purpose will take him further. And grace, that quiet, unstoppable grace, will carry everything he touches into testimony. The story continues, and the world is listening.